You know, when I've been at other gyms, it's more of a like a Sanford is more of like a family vibe. You don't have um like cliques what they have in other gyms. Everyone trains together. Everyone does the same thing. There's no like I'm gonna be with these persons because I match with these person. I'm gonna be with this person because I don't like this person. Everyone is together to do one thing, and that's to get better. And that's what like really intrigued me to keep coming back because obviously the training is unbelievable, but the family vibes they make me feel at home, and um, yeah, everyone's just down to earth. You think like fighters are just like mean and arrogant, and I have like don't get me wrong, I have ran into a lot of mean and arrogant fighters, but Sam's is just another level.
That's good to hear, man. Really good to hear. And, just making the move from Australia down to Florida. I know you said you're going there like 6 weeks at a time, but what's the adjustment been like? And how often do you go back? Are you just there for the 6 weeks with the pandemic going, or have you found yourself kind of stuck there?
No, no. So obviously with my fights, it's all contractual. So in Australia, it's locked down, but it's the only way that I'm able to provide for my family. So um, Australia, I do like you got to apply for the exemption to leave, and I do so. I provide the right paperwork to justify my me leaving the country. And every single time there's a fight, I just show them the contract, man. This is my job, and this is what I'm gonna have to go and do and prepare, and yeah. And so in saying that, I only come here every time I'm offered a fight.
I'm just curious what the difference has been like between living there and living back home, because I'm actually up in Canada. And we looked to
Oh, you what?
Florida and we're like, oh man, everything's like open down there and people are going to
Open
shows.
for business. Open for business. Everything is like as I mean, as good as it sounds, it is kind of good. Like the Florida has gone back to normal for everything. There is like variants that are around, but I think majority of the people are getting vaccinated or in the process of getting vaccinated. There are people that are anti, but it's their freedom of choice, and that's the main thing. Yeah. They're not gonna hold back. I don't know how Florida works, but everything's back to normal, open for tourism. We're getting a lot of people because they're open for tourism coming through. So it must say something, right?
Definitely. And I guess one of the things is, I mean, this fight's not in Florida, it's not in Australia, it's going to be back in Singapore. Um, I don't know. I know some fans are back. Do you know if it's full house this time around, or is it?
Uh, this fight, from what I've heard on the grapevine, um, it's a thousand seat capacity.
So you did fight once in 2020, so you got that kind of no fan experience, I guess. How did you find it, and did it jar you at all? Did you prefer being able to hear your corners better? How was that experience?
Uh, it didn't really affect me at all. Yeah, I was able to hear my cornerman, but just the overall fight it was kind of frustrating. So I let that get over me, and it was like a tunnel vision basically. So I've learned my mistakes from that. But yeah, I'd love to fight in front of crowds. Crowds, that's what we're here. We're entertainers, right? That's the sole purpose of fighting, to entertain. So yeah, it was a bit weird at the start, but overall, it didn't really bother me.
And one of the things that I read, leading into this, I actually went back to your last fight with Tan Lee, and something you said is that the emotions got the better of you against him. And I'm just wondering if you've done anything to kind of counter that this time out.
Yeah, no, it was just more of a fight week. A lot was going on during fight week, and I won't go into it, but a lot was happening during fight week, and I felt that it was kind of it is what it is. A lot happened in fight week, and I let that get to me emotionally, and all I really wanted to do because I was there to fight was just to hurt the guy, and I know that comes with fighting, but I just wanted that extra hurt. But yeah, so yeah, all my hard work and respect for the hard work that I had earned the title, or respect for the title, everything that I did to get the title, just went out the window, and I just went in there to throw bombs. Not smart. Paid dividends definitely, and that's what I said. Like every single time I get asked, I came to fight. He came to win, and he got the job done. So
Now, I've had a few people tell me, more than a few fighters tell me, that half the game is mental. Is that something that you agree with?
100%. You have to mentally prepare yourself to, you're going in the cage. Yeah, you're getting into a fight, but you're going into a fight preparing to get injured. Mentally, someone's there to physically hurt you, so it does get your like adrenaline running to be like protect yourself at all times, right? So yeah, that's it's that mental side of the fight, as well as the physical is always obviously good because you're training for every aspect of the fight. But the mental game of the fight game, I'd say it's like 70-80%
You're not
of
the
the actual
first.
fight.
You're not the first to say that either. I've heard 70%, 80%, 90%.
Yeah,
That's probably enough looking back. The slate gets wiped clean moving forward. You've got a new opponent ahead of you, a big card coming up, obviously. Jae-Woon Kim up next at One Revolution. What's your take on him as an opponent from what you've seen so far?
he's a great fighter. He's a good fighter. He's earned his way into the top five, and like anyone else in the division, they'll start calling out people just to keep climbing up that ladder, right? And he done a smart move. He called out a guy that had just lost the title, and he knows that I'm his ticket to getting that title shot. So overall, in general, he is a good fighter. I'm not gonna say he's shit because he wouldn't be in the top five if he was. So yeah, it's gonna be a good clash come the 24th.
We talked about the emotions in the last one and the mental game. When you do hear a call out, are call outs something that you're cool with? You understand the business side? Did they get under your skin at all, or?
No, look, I don't really care. I've been getting called out my whole career. So people wanting a piece. I've been fighting guys. Everyone that I've majority of the people that I've fought in the whole 10 to 11 fights I've had with one championship or even possibly even more. I can't even remember. Everyone was on like an undefeated streak, a tear, or they're veterans of the game. And whenever I come, whenever the name is on the contract, I'll sign it. But they usually 9 times out of 10, it's always going to be like the fight of your life, the next fight. And in terms of calling out, everyone's gonna want a piece of you no matter what, whether they do it respectfully or disrespectfully. I don't really care.
Fair enough. And one of the things I do way too much when I do interviews is ask for a prediction. It's just, and some fighters love giving it. Some fighters hate giving it. I'm going to go a different route this time, and I'm just going to ask: do you have a vision of how this fight plays out? Are you a guy who visualizes finishes or what you're going to do, or are you more of a go with the flow kind of guy?
I'll go with the flow. Always go with the flow because if it doesn't work out, you start panicking or you start questioning yourself. What did I do wrong to not get the decision, or to not get the knockout, or to not get the submission? I always go with the flow, no matter what. But I also see and visualize a finish. But that being said, I always go with the flow. If it doesn't happen, then it is what it is.
And it has been almost a year since you last fought. The last one was October 30th. Um,
Yeah.
I think you're enough into your career that you're probably going to say, ring rust isn't going to be too much of a factor, and you are with a heck of a gym. But does the time off worry you at all?
No, 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 no. There's definitely not going to be any ring rust at all in that gym. We spar twice a week, and those sparring sessions are so much harder than the actual fights themselves. And the level of training and the level of sparring that we have at Sanford is is literally a um fans like man that if we had fans there we would make so much money. There's so many top level guys um going at it harder than they actually do in fights, and this is the way we get better. We put ourselves in fight situations and we bang. And yeah, man, like it's just the ring rust ain't gonna be a problem to answer
Good,
your question.
good to hear. Good to hear, man. And it's just a couple left field questions for you. Then, I mean, I know you played rugby as a kid. Was there ever a point where you thought, "Hey, maybe I'm going to go that direction for a career"?
Never, never. I lived, breathed rugby league. I woke up, slept with football. Man, it was everything that I did. I just, man, I still love the sport to this day, and I still play the sport to a certain contactable degree. But yeah, I would still love it. It's our national sport, and it's a sport that everyone has a hand on here and there in Australia. But yeah, never in a million years would I say I'll be a world champion. If someone told me you're going to be a world champion MMA fighter, I would literally laugh at them. I would be like, man, I don't fight. I literally don't fight. I wrestle. I wrestle guys. I tackle guys to the ground. That's the closest thing that really came to mixed martial arts, is the wrestling side of it. But yeah, I was doing everything rugby league, man, and that was my thing.
What made you make the jump? And at what point did you switch over to mixed martial arts? And I guess at what point did you realize, hey, this is going to be what I do long term?
Okay, so I made the jump to jiu-jitsu only because my friend was doing taekwondo at a gym, and he goes, they started a jiu-jitsu program. A lot of beginners, we should learn it. At that time, I think fights we were watching at the time. My first fights of watching was it was BJ Penn versus Matt Hughes, and BJ had submitted Matt Hughes, who was like a high level, just a mixed martial artist, and I was like, oh, jiu-jitsu is pretty crazy. Like this man, he just choked this guy out and he tapped, and that's satisfying. And yeah, he invited me. We started jiu-jitsu, and then from there, I was only doing it just to see like the competition side, like the combat side of it, and just to lose weight. I fell in love with it, started losing weight, and then started competing at tournaments. I just did like one or two tournaments, I remember, and that adrenaline rush of another man coming in there, and you're both like, going in there basically to see who's got the better skills, who's got the bigger balls, and and that brought back like the competition feels of when I was competing in rugby, and so I fell in love with that, and I seen guys at the gym. They were on a win streak, and everyone was winning, and I was like, man, I really want to get into it. These are the guys that motivate me to come here every day, and so I picked up striking, and then it only took up until 2018, the end of 2018, start of 2019, that I actually went full time. I'm a late boomer, and but I'm a quick learner, so I just haven't looked back since.
And your first couple fights obviously came on the regional scene in Australia, and I know that last one there, you got the contract for one. I've heard that you didn't even know. Is that true?
Yeah, I didn't even know. Yeah, so before that title fight, I was 6 or 8-0 as an amateur fighter, and so I had my open mat fights and all that. So I was various weights jumping up and down. So I kind of had some more experience, but there was all crammed. Everything was crammed. It was like every 3 months we were competing. And then I turned pro, had my fights. Then one FC at the time it was called, had like a summit, and my coach was invited to that summit. And then like the organization that I fought under was invited to that summit, and they all signed under an affiliate for with one championship. When they had like people from all around the world. And so in saying that, he came back, they said they were affiliate, and they were looking for the next big thing. And yeah, when I fought for the title, I was 3-0, 2-0 at the time, and I fought a guy who was like killing everyone on the scene, literally one of the most talented fighters I'd ever come across, and I finished him in the first round. Um, the CEO of the company that signed with one championship offered me a contract, and I was like, I don't know if this is real. Is this going international now? And then he gave me the contract. I got my belt. I went home. I reevaluated. I've read. I don't think I've read a contract so fast before. I read it and I was like, okay, this is the next step. This is international now. Like this is fighting people around the world. It's not in Australia no more. And yeah,
And it obviously worked out, and you go on to become a double champ. When you look back at it, you're what, 32 now?
I'm 32 years old. Yes,
When you
not
look
that old.
back, no, no, no. Believe me, I'm a lot older. I'm not even going to say I got a decade on
Yeah,
you. Um,
yeah.
but when you look back now, even just 5 years ago, is there anything that you would have done differently?
Um, to be honest, no, because everything I did during the time of mixed martial arts led me to this position, and I'm thankful for that. If I had done things differently, then I wouldn't know where I'll be. I'll probably be punch drunk somewhere down the street. I don't know. Like for what it was worth, it was worth it because now I'm with one of the best teams in the world, training under the best coaches and having the best teammates that I could ask for. So yeah,
Well, I like it. No regrets, man. I'm gonna ask you one more, then I'll let you go. I always appreciate the time, man. Really do. Um,
all good.
the one thing we haven't seen yet is one really go international, well, not international, but over to North America, over to the UK, over to Australia, and really trying to break into that English speaking market. Now, there's been
Right,
talks
right.
about the US. They did do the one on TNT shows. It just, the pandemic's kind of messed up everything, if we're being honest, right? But was there ever a point when you were holding two belts where they said, hey, how about a show in Australia? Why not go to Sydney?
Man, I'm still asking them 5 years later. Let's go to Australia. I've got friends, family members, fans, people that I've trained with, people that know of me, and I'm not that big in Australia, but people do know of me because I do represent the country. And in saying that, I'm sure a lot of a lot of people, because it's not only me, a lot of Australian fighters who do fight for one championship have a huge following as well. It will be amazing to get an Australian card up and going. But yeah, pandemic, and I don't know. I physically, I literally don't know what's going on to not have that luck over the water competition. But I mean, if it works out for them, and it works out for me, I'm able to compete, then I'm happy at the end of the day.
Good stuff, man. Well, fingers crossed. Maybe next year everything gets back to normal and we can get some of those shows in and maybe one at home for you. Martin, thanks again.
100%.
Best of luck at
Thank
One
you.
Revolution and looking forward to it.
Awesome, Jay. Thank you for your time, man.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
Bye.